Hi, Eric Gibaud, Gibaud.com. Same as Terminator. Nikon is back. I'm here in the city of Metz in front of Digit Photo, and Nikon France lent them the Z8 so I can Z8 so I can present it to you. I've got it for really short time, so I cannot do really push tests. I'll just give you my main impression, but this camera is really brilliant so far what I've seen. Okay, so let's get in details. Let's start. Having such short time to test a camera, I prefer to make picture, video and try it here and show you the body, but not mine, the camera body, okay? But I will give my conclusion, opinion, record it in Tenerife. This is why in the video you see change of landscape, clothes, all this. Why it's actually hotter here and more humid here in France than in Tenerife, okay? But this is why you see like two parts in the video, okay? Why do I say that Nikon is back? Well, you can say, yeah, but the Z6 Mark II, actually I made a review of it. I've got the link here. The Z7 Mark II is great cameras. The Z9, but actually the Z9, yes, fantastic camera, but you need to sell your house or your body. Don't speak about the camera body, I speak about yours, okay? To pay for it, not everyone can afford it, okay? So there was like a missing part there, and that could be the competitor of a future Canon R5 Mark II, okay? And now with this camera, they're fighting with Canon and Sony in this range of camera. And I think this is a fantastic camera, great performance, and this is why I say they're back, because it's not cheap camera, but for many pros it's affordable, but it's not as costly as the Z9, okay? So I think this is why I think they're back. They're really back to the right level to compete with the rest. So great camera, we're going to see that. So let's have a look. When you get a camera like this, you need to read the manual, use a manual, and go to piano classes because there are so many buttons. But for that kind of camera, that's logical. People want to have quick shortcut, not get into menus, have everything at the tip of the hand. For example, here you have two function buttons just right here. You have everything falls right in the right place. The viewfinder is just incredible. Honestly, I was checking the viewfinder and for a second I got lost, and because I was also testing the Pentax that is reflex, I was like, oh, I use a Pentax. I thought it was a reflex viewfinder. It was an optical viewfinder. No, it's electronic, and for me the quality is stunning, okay? Then if you look at the buttons, have many buttons, but let's check the connectivity. Here they've put headphone jack, microphone jack, a full-size HDMI, so you see the intentions and the features for video that are advanced. Here you have two USB-C, one for power and one for connecting something else, really good. Here you have the typical connector, I think for remote control, that's here, okay. Here you have the top screen, a small top screen here, and if you look at the screen, it is thought for photographer. You can flip it this way, and this way for vertical photography, okay, or this way, okay, but not for the typical vlogger situation. If you're a vlogger, you don't use that, okay? Well, you can, but that's not logical. So I think that's nice to put the screen this way, okay? If we look at the memory cards, you have two slots. One is for CF Express. Obviously, you need that. I made a burst of 120 frames per second before. That's really fast, really massive. So you need a really fast card for that. And you have also an SD slot, okay? But the weight hold in your hand, the feeling, is not too small, not too big. My small finger doesn't fall underneath. Maybe for you it would, I don't know, you can always use a vertical grip anyway. But it's nice in your hand, really nice. The only disappointment is that Nikon France sent it with 24 to 200 millimeter. I don't think this is the best lens to try on this camera. There are probably other lenses that would give better more, I would say, honest or realistic opinion about the possibility of this camera. But still, if it works nice with this lens, because it works really brilliant, okay? But really, physically, I really like it, okay? Testing the IBIS handheld, waist level, working really slowly on 35mm. I don't know what you think. Well, I am back in Tenerife. It's really hot here. The heat wave followed me to Tenerife. I know some people criticize when I've got some area overexposed. This is overexposed, but well, sun is this way, and what's important is what I'm going to say. So I don't have much time to record, so I record right now at 3:30, sorry, I have to pick up my daughter, so at the summer camp. So well, I have enough time to tell you more impression about the Z8 or Z8, depending where you are from and how you tell it. Well, when I was in France, I could only test it for a few hours, a day, okay? So it was not much to do many tests, okay? Not as much as I wanted, but enough to give you my general impression, first impression, not in depth, okay? On Nikon website, you will find all the specs, okay? I will tell you the most important one, but anyway, it was enough time to have an opinion, and it was a lot more time than if you go to a shop and have it in your hand for 5 minutes. So I'm going to give you some specs and my impression about this camera that looks pretty good to me. So let's look at the specs. This is a mirrorless camera, okay, and with the Z mount or Z mount, depends on how you say it, okay. And this is a full frame camera with 45.7 million pixel resolution, which is a lot. Some people will say, yeah, but there is a Sony with 60. Well, Sony is no problem, but 45 is no problem either, okay? Was not for Sony, but was for 60 to 45. Well, there's no drama, okay? But what is impressive is the 8K for video, raw video, okay? 8K, that's not little. So when you listen to these two figures, you're like surprised. You say, wow, where is Nikon going? So well, this is really good. The body is really smaller than the Z9, about 30% smaller, and about 15% smaller than the D850. 910 grams. I really love to have this camera in my hand, not too heavy, not too light, really nice size. I really liked it. It's funny because this camera, if you speak to someone who makes landscape, it will say, ah, that's a perfect camera for landscape. If it's someone who makes sport photography, it will say, oh, this is ideal for sport photography. And someone who does portrait will say the same thing. So you think, well, this camera is good for everything? Well, actually, this camera is so ambitious, then it's thought for everybody. You have so many setting options that you can really set it to your likes for what you want to do. If you want to do landscape, portrait, action, astro, anything. So this camera is really for everybody, and that was really surprising to me. If you look at the action part, for example, stunning. You can go up to 120 frames per second, which is crazy. Obviously, in this case, it is in JPEG with 11 million pixels. So some people will say, yeah, but 11 million pixels, this is really little. Yeah, but this kind of pictures are for online newspaper or social networks, so 11 is more than enough. That's fine. Maybe you need this 120, so you get it. The normal speed is 20 frames per second if you do RAW plus JPEG. If you do JPEG only, 30 frames per second. And if you go to DX format, APS-C, then you have 60 frames per second, but you have the full resolution, 45.7 million pixels. So when you look at action photographer, they will love it. Sport photographer, fauna photographer, they will love that. And one thing I like is to have included the pre-capture, which is something I know on my Olympus OM1. You off-press the shutter, and then it starts making picture before the definite click, okay? That means it's really hard to miss the right moment. If you have a development of an action, you off-press just a bit before you think it's going to shoot the ball, for example, and then you're sure to get the right picture. So really, really good. If you look at the autofocus, well, the autofocus is the same as the Z9. What they have added that you can detect planes, okay? I think it's really good. Is it as good as a Sony Alpha 7 R5? I don't know. but for me it was still very good. It was really fast, okay? Many people will look at this camera as a baby Z9. Is it a baby Z9? If we look at the size, yes, but if we look at the feature, no. Why? Because very often when they make any company, when they have a top of the range camera, the second on board, normally they limit some features. In this case, they didn't limit anything. I mean, the autofocus, the video, the things the way it works, everything is the same, really. So the differences are somewhere else. The difference is part of the size and the vertical grip, that is optional, it's not integrated, okay? Well, if you look at memory card, it uses CF Express and SD card, SD card. So on the Z9, I think it's 2 CF Express. So that's good for people who don't want to spend that much money on 2 CF Express. But if you wanted to do a backup at the same time, write to both cards, that may be a problem because the SD card is not as fast, okay? But still, you see, that's the first difference, okay? Then a big difference, massive difference, is the battery. The battery is a lot smaller and gives you 340 pictures instead of 740. So that's a disappointment, and for videographer, they may think, yeah, but then it won't last much, I will need a lot of batteries, all this, but good piece of news. They have 2 USB-C ports. It means if you use one of the USB port to connect some video accessory, you can still do it, and at the same time, with a power bank or external battery, whatever kind of battery you use, power the camera at the same time. So I think many camera makers who say they want to do video, they should seriously think about integrating 2 USB-C port as they've made on this Z9, okay? Z8, sorry, baby Z9, okay? This Z8, okay? So really good point, okay? Something else, you don't have mechanical shutter. Same as the Sony Alpha 1 or the Z9, it's only electronic shutter. So I was a bit worried about if you look at rolling shutter, but if you look at these pictures I've made of a trolley bus, it actually, you don't see any distortion. So yeah, I think that works, that's nice. The flash synchro is a bit lower than usual, it's 1/200th of a second. That's okay, but I would have loved 1/250th, but well, being just electronic shutter, that's fine, okay? And I think this camera, when you look at the size and the weight, all this, and the possibilities, it's ideal to bring anywhere for action photography, fauna, nice wildlife, okay, really great camera, okay? Let's look at video. Video, it does 8K at 10 bits, 30 frames per second, and 4K, 10 bits, 120 frames per second. I didn't have time to really try video, so I checked other YouTubers, what they say about it, and there's one guy I really trust on that. This is Jordan from Petapixel. Before he was with Chris Nicol. He's still with Chris Nicol, but before they were on DP Review, okay? But really, I trust what this guy is saying, and he really loved the video feature, and I trust what he says. So I think what they offer on the video side is great. You also have NRAW format and also ProRes. It's sampled in this case, okay? But still, I think the video feature is really stunning. So I really think there are some people that will use this camera exclusively for video. Others, they will use it just for picture, but any kind of picture. Some will use it for action photography, other landscape, other portrait. By the way, the colors are really great out of the box. You can still fine-tune the raw file after if you want, but the original color are really good. I love it. And why so many people can use this camera? Because as I said, there are so many options that you will make it yours. If you look at the amount of option in the menus, it's crazy. And then the buttons all over the place. You really create the tool to your need, okay? So really, I think anyone will enjoy this camera. But who is this camera for? Well, I just said, for anyone. But do you think it will? Do I think it will steal some client from the Z9? I don't think so. Because I think the Z9 client who can afford the Z9 will still buy a Z9. But I think it's going to take away clients from possible Nikon users that were about to go to Sony or to Canon. So I think maybe instead of buying a Sony Alpha 7 R5, they will get this one, or the future Canon R5 Mark II that doesn't exist already. I think many Nikonists that were not completely convinced by the Z7 Mark II and could not afford the Z9 will go for this Z8. And some people really love Nikon, you know, and they want to stick to the brand. So this Z8 is the confirmation that Nikon is still in the race. Nikon is a really slow company, really slow. It always takes them time to get the things right, but when they get them right, they get them almost perfect, okay? And I think the Z6 and Z7 were limited. Then when the Mark II came out, that was a big step ahead, okay? The Z9, then they say, Nikon is here among the biggest. And then they were there with great camera. And this Z8 was needed to confirm what they're doing, to get people who have a D850 who don't want the Z7 Mark II, they will get this one. Yeah, I think this Z8 is a lot of peace of mind for people who were worried about the financial situation of Nikon that was for many years in really bad situation, and now they're really back. The Z9 was a big breath that were fresh air that came in, and the Z8 is already selling like mad. So I think this camera is really great, and for me it's completely recommendable. I'm not a Nikon user, but if I was, I would certainly get this Z8 and stay with this brand, no doubt. I don't know if I would come from another brand to this Z8, because normally I like to stick to what I use for lens reason or whatever, or I would say to be know the menus, all this, okay? If I was changing brand, maybe I would get that one. It's a great camera, and many people will love it and use it. Some people exclusively for video, and some people will use them for photography, and some people will use them for use it for both. Okay, so honestly, I think this camera is a big confirmation that Nikon is in the race with a great camera, and the first sales confirm it. Okay, so for me, if you love Nikon, if you're interested in this camera, I can confirm that this is a great camera you can get. Even if I don't have much time to try it, what I saw was enough to convince me that if I was a potential buyer, I would get it. So, if you're interested, I'll leave you links in the description on where you can buy it. So thank you so much Digit Photo and Nikon France for lending me the camera. Thank you to you for watching the video. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Small button down here is a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website Gibaud.com. If you have any question, you can leave a comment below. I'll also leave you links of my gear on Amazon, links of everything I reviewed by K&F Concept, Sandmarc and Flashes by Westcott, more affiliated links, and also a link to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye!